Hi, good afternoon, everybody. We are louder, good afternoon. I know the lunch was terrific. I think you should keep saying good afternoon every 3 minutes so that you can keep me awake. Terrific to be here. Thanks to Pari and the team at Zinnov for inviting me here. And thanks for the wonderful introduction. I would love to, in the next 20 minutes, talk about a little bit about my journey and more excited about the journey that I'm embarking on, and to put talent and opportunities in perspective. You know, going to the theme of this conference about unlocking innovation potential, I want to talk about one aspect of potential that exists, and I want to figure out how together as a group we can think about unlocking that potential that exists. As mentioned, I started my journey. I was probably one of the first product managers way back in '97 at Infosys for this product called Banks 2000, which later on became Finacle. Then moved on to do my MBA, worked with BFL selling software in Japan. When the entrepreneurial bug bit hard in 2000 and realized that, you know, with the imminent growth of the IT industry and the need for talent, there is a requirement for an assessments company, for a company that will help measure skills in people. And that's how Murli, Mohan, and myself, three of us, started off Meritrack as an assessment entity. I'm sure we worked with most of the IT BPO companies around, so several of you and your companies, you know, I keep getting badgered by youngsters saying, yours was the tough test that I took, and then the company and said, you know what, I'll kind of, all that sins will get only buried with me, right? In that context, I think in 2007, you know, we'd created this entire thing around employability. My worldview is some are employable, some are not, and that's the way the world is. Because having seen millions of graduates across taking our tests and be looking at verbal ability, analytical, so on and so forth, we began quite a mad experiment saying, is there a possibility that you could test this employability hypothesis at the extreme? So we said, what if we took a person at the extreme of unemployability, and can it be made employable at all? We found an answer. I'll share that answer with you, and that's what Hedrella is all about. So let me walk you through a quick set of some presentation in that sense. Of if I ask you to imagine this word rural, just close your eyes for 10 seconds, and you'll have a set of visuals coming in your mind. You'll probably see something like this. This is what comes to my mind. Right? You'll see visuals like this. Buffaloes in the water, abject poverty, only agriculture, you know, houses that do not have electricity. And this is one of my favorite images. You'll also see a bunch of village youth crowded around the town square doing nothing on a Monday afternoon. Right? If you were to zoom in on one of these faces, you'll probably see somebody like this. And if I had to ask you, who's this guy? What do you think he's doing? You might say, you know what, probably a school dropout, works as a daily wage laborer or a cowherd whenever he gets a chance. And if I were to ask you, do you think he'll ever work in companies that we work? He'll say, hey, forget it. That was my impression as well before we started this wild experiment. This guy's name is Ramesh. Ramesh has never ever been to school, never held a pencil in his life, family of 12, lives in about a village which is 60 kilometers from Raichur, and picks groundnuts, tends to cows and sheep, earns about 10 rupees a day. This is Ramesh on day one of training. Can you just click on the video, please? No, the previous, yeah. For the, so for those of you who understand Kannada, he's only saying my parents' name, my brother's name, sister's name. He's not able to string a sentence together in Kannada as well. We convinced 8 such kids like him in 2008 to come with us, stay with us in a house in Bangalore. And we said, we're going to teach you English, math, computer skills, logic, confidence. We're going to make you work in the knowledge services economy. Because our goal as a foundation was poverty alleviation. We hired a BPO trainer who came in, promptly vanished during lunchtime on day one, saying, are you mad? I can't train graduates in Bangalore on English. You expect me to train these guys? A young friend of mine called Rajesh Bhatt, who came from a village himself, worked through the ranks through do an engineering, was working in automobile, said that, you know what, I don't think this is as tough as it seems to be. Let me figure this out. He and a few others actually moved in with these kids and started a very intense learning process. The intensity is crazy and continues to be crazy. 16 hours a day, 6.5 days a week, month after month, till they learn. The intensity is sometimes so brutal that even when they sleep in the night, we keep the BBC radio on. Right? So the immersion is complete. Slowly but surely, the transformation started happening. This is the same Ramesh after 7 months. The video, please. The volume.
My name in Kannada. In my village, I always wore dhoti. I never traveled on the bus. I did not know what's the time and what's the watch. I knew only two things: go to farm or sunrise, came back home or sunset. I had never visited a city. I did not know about city life. When I first came to Bangalore, I could not speak to anyone. And I also scared to touch a computer. When I started to learn in English, I was so scared because I did not know how to write ABCD. After the 7 months, I can type minimum at 40 words per minute. A month ago, I went to my village for my brother's wedding. My mother told me, "Please sir, come and have a seat." She did not recognize me. She asked, "Who are you?" I told her, "I am Ramesh, your son." As she didn't believe. Then I showed my ID card on which earlier photo was there. She looked at the photo for a while and hugged. And after every moment she cried with the tears of happiness. I never can forget that experience. Thank you.
This, I get goosebumps every time I see this. This kind of changed my life because I said, you know, this employability thing that we talk about is a lens that we have, and there's nothing wrong on the other side. It's a lens that is faulty. Right? Which also means that there's unlimited potential in everybody. Ramesh, subsequently, soon after this, 8th month onwards, started doing insurance claims processing from Koppal, which is a village called, in the district of Koppal, there's a village called Tavaregere, and we actually set up a rural BPO where Ramesh started doing insurance claims processing. Today, we have trained over about 800 such people at various stages of school dropouts, and we've seen a similar level of transformation occur in everybody. Ramesh called me back about a month ago and said that I've started learning AutoCAD and I'm doing some GIS mapping for a NGO back in his village. So what that brings to the point, and my experience the last 3 years, has been the image rural that we have is not the old rural anymore. There's a new rural that's emerging. New rural that's characterized by 4 things. One, there is raw talent hungry for opportunities. All the photos that you see are our trainees subsequently in Gadag, in Koppal, in Hindupur, boys, girls, 0 to 10 standard dropouts. We've even now got graduates who can't speak a word of English. And if I put a graduate and a 4th standard dropout, you can't make the difference. Heart bleeds, of course, to see to what levels has our education system in some parts gone to. But there is, if you look at the potential and the learning power that exists, I think there's a fantastic opportunity out there. So this is our, so we're talking about talent and opportunities. We're talking about entrepreneurial spirit. So one of the things we said is, how do you generate jobs in rural? You can't just train people to be employable, you need to kindle that entrepreneurial spirit. So we launched the first ever rural entrepreneur forum. These are like Thai, so this is like a Thai rural. We got 200 people who had never entered a conference room sitting with books and stuff like that, sitting in, listening to Mr. Vijay Sankeshwar and getting inspired by him. And we've now got a variety of entrepreneurs from that 200. This is Manjunath, who runs a carpentry shop somewhere back of the beyond in Gadag. And in his own words, if you ask him what he wants to do, he wants to be the IKEA of rural. Right? Of course, he doesn't know IKEA. He doesn't know a model exists. He says, why should I wait for labor to create furniture? I can create parts of it and fix it later. Right? And he says, I want to open stores all across. Right? Now, how do you then bring these guys onto an opportunity platform? The third part is their aspirations are as global as what you and I have. They want the next big TV, the next smartphone. They want to send their kids to English schools or whatever, right? So we did an aspiration survey, and if I were to show you a survey in Bangalore versus that in Gadag, you can't make out the difference. The aspirations are almost similar. And lastly, the explosion of information access. I mean, all of us know that well enough. Everybody is connected all the time. In fact, it's amazing to hear stories of how people buy 250 video recharges when they have finished their agricultural seasons to watch movies on mobile phones. right? So if you put these 4 dimensions, raw talent, entrepreneurial spirit, aspirations, and information access together, we've said that it's almost a shame to call these youth rural. We coined a new term called Rubens. We're not calling them rural anymore because they mirror urban in a variety of ways, and we actually coined a term called Rubenomics. We launched this at the Harvard Social Enterprise Conference a few months ago as a construct to understand the economics and define newer business models for these rural urbans to drive their economic prosperity. And I think that is something that all of us working in this industry should keep cognizance of, saying there is a large population with talent, with an urge to consume, and also to provide. So it's not a one-way traffic. I think there's a wonderful opportunity to create a two-way platform. And that's what we believe, that if we can energize people through education, give them jobs in the rural areas where they can earn, and provide them an opportunity to live with their head held high, that is the objective of what we are trying to do. And how do you really create opportunity platforms where you can unleash the power of these Rubens for talent and technology? The way that we look at the model, and especially in this context, we're saying that how do you bring technology, how do you scale? How can you do this in 647 districts of India? How can you then connect a platform? So we've created a concept called a Ruben Hub. So essentially we're saying in next 10 years, we want to be in every district in India with a physical hub. That becomes the node point for that district, which engages with talent, entrepreneurs, consumers, and producers. And we are actually conceptualizing something called as an app store, a Ruben app store. Imagine if all of your applications or businesses that can work in rural are all available, documented, feedback, users, and all that, which is available through the hub for entrepreneurs there. And finally, we are conceptualizing something called as a Ruben Hub operating center. This is like your NOC, which controls all the servers. We're saying, hey, we could have an operating center that controls all of the activities and synchronizes. You're looking at user analytics, big data, so on and so forth. You can really drive rural growth. And that's what we believe is a massive opportunity. Not just only from a social perspective, but also from an economic perspective. Right? So this is just not, again, only bottom of the pyramid. We're saying this is a two-way traffic. There is a lot to be delivered. To give you an example, we work with Ashoka Foundation, which is one of the largest social enterprises, social foundations. And we have women trainees who are 4th grade dropouts who've been trained to do surveys on tablets in English. And we are now doing 10,000 surveys of malnutrition in pregnant women across Karnataka. And these are our trainees who are going door to door with geotagged surveys on tablets. Right? And we've done about 3,000 of them so far. So there are various business models that can emerge, and the sky is the limit. And the appetite for consumption in these areas is phenomenal. So that's the objective. I just want to leave you with another visual. This was Ramesh, 4 years fast forwarded. 2011, we won the CNN IBM Real Heroes Award for the pilot project that we did. And you can see how Rubens can gain their spotlight, gain their share of the sun, under the sun. If you can play the video, please.
Ramesh, if you can. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. 4 years ago, I had never thought of getting out of my village. Today, I am on national TV. I'm very happy to be here with all of you. 4 years ago, I didn't know how to write my name in any language. Today, I'm working in a BPO company as a team leader. My dream is to give an opportunity to all the villagers like me.
So the point that we're seeing here is that we're seeing the emergence of more and more Rameshes. It's interesting that Ramesh, in his earlier avatar, and now we have a team of 50 people operating in Hindupur and Gadag. And I love saying this, it's ironical, but I love saying that whenever a graduate in Gurgaon quits a large BPO, the BPO is our customer, the termination letter is sent by a zero-educated villager from Hindupur. So for this customer, we manage the entire HR exit process, right? Similarly, whenever a guy joins a BPO in Bangalore, the appointment letter and the entry process is triggered by these guys in Hindupur. So it's only about conceptualizing what is possible, and it is possible. right? And one of the things we're now trying to do is, 10 years ago, entrepreneur, when I turned an entrepreneur, I'm sure some of you in the room who are entrepreneurs will have the same experience. My father and mother stopped attending any social function after 2 years because my relatives said, oh, he's in business. Oh, he's not got any job, kind of stuff, right? Now it's uber cool to say I'm an entrepreneur, right? Similarly, everything now has a social attached to it and it becomes a social enterprise. Though personally, I believe, there are only two types of enterprises. There's an enterprise and there's an anti-social enterprise, right? Rather than the other way around, right? What we want to do is, in the next 3-4 years, how can we make rural cool? How can we have every one of you thinking of that consumer, of that potential, of that talent that sits somewhere out there, who's got this fire, who's got this hunger, and who says, give me an opportunity, I'll grab it with both hands, right? And we're seeing that happen unflinchingly day in and day out, right? So that's the thought I want to leave all of you guys with, that in whatever you do, in any of the areas, we're focusing on 5 areas: agriculture, healthcare, financial inclusion, utilities, and I'm putting energy, water, and communication, the utilities, and education as the 5 areas that we're focusing on. We want to partner with technology, applications, business models, create the layer that will take it to rural entrepreneurs, and have a mentoring network for these entrepreneurs to kind of bloom, right? So with that, this has been our inspiration. I said this poem every day I was in school, and I said this is the only poem that I truly believe in every word, and that's where the name Head Held High comes from as well. With that, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate the opportunity.